Site for your business, whether you're a consultant, an electrician, or you run a nursery. Select your business sector, company name, colour and layout. Done. Customise your site with your own text, images and logo. Let your customers find you anywhere. Choose from over 120 business sectors. One-on-One My Website. oneandone.co.uk.
Rich, nice to meet you. Thanks so much for coming along today.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to meet you. Rich, you have been dubbed one of UK's preeminent internet entrepreneurs. How do you feel about that?
It's a big task to live up to. I mean, we see a lot of internet entrepreneurs in the US, the people like Mark Zuckerberg and the guys who founded Twitter and the two founders of Google. But over here, there's not so much of that sort of geeky culture that allows us to bring up and start your own businesses and whatnot. So it's a lot to live up to, but it's an exciting challenge, and at the end of the day, it's a fun job. So I think that's how I look at it.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about your company, Flux, that you've heard about.
So Flux originally started at university. So I only left university last year. We started off mucking around in the library, as a lot of students do. And the whole beginning idea started when I was in the library with a few friends, and we saw there were some attractive girls in the corner, and I basically wanted to share that with other friends. And I built a quick website that allowed people to do just that, to say if you saw somebody in the library that was quite hot, and share it with other people. And it was called Fit Finder. It went live one Friday morning and just basically grew and grew and grew, before getting me in a bit of trouble with the university. And then at the end of the day, it got shut down. I had to finish my degree, and by that time it sort of made a bit of a splash in the media, and I was being approached by investors to basically start something else up. So in January this year, we basically started up Flux with a sort of the similar idea, but to concentrate on location, as opposed to sort of who your friends are. This is more about what's around you and who's around you. And basically we're now bringing out a number of different products on your mobile phone, specifically to allow you to basically get the most out of where you are.
So just taking a step back to university days, you're a coder at heart? I mean, is this something that you spent a lot of time doing at uni?
I did a computer science degree, which there's a lot of different and interesting people, as you can imagine, on a course like that. And one thing that I very quickly learned at university is that I didn't want to just be one of these people that sat in the classroom and doing just that. So I made sure that I was doing sports and whatnot, but I think that's slightly different to the sort of typical image of a programmer or whatnot. But I did program, I built a website, and I can do that, but it's not something I do sort of 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There's other things to do in life. But it's one of these things that actually people think it's really difficult to do. It's not. It's something you can teach yourself over a weekend. So that's one thing I think that we really need to do, is sort of encourage people to at least just try and pick up a textbook or go on a website about coding and just learn a few bits about it.
Would you consider yourself sort of the Mark Zuckerberg of the campus at the time?
I hope I'm not as geeky as him, but it was quite funny. Like, as soon as Fit Finder took off, it was strange going into a library and first of all seeing people with your website on their screens, above Facebook, above Twitter, or whatever they were doing, above their work as well. And then people started to realise it was actually something at university, and especially some of my course mates, it was quite weird going into a lecture theatre after it was in the newspaper and people were clapping when I went in because they'd heard about it, and it was quite good fun. But at the end of the day, I was also at that stage getting in a little bit of hot water with the uni, so I was in two minds about whether it was a good thing or a bad thing.
How did you go through the transition of being in a sort of a software or a coding environment, then all of a sudden being thrown into more of a business context and making these things that were just for fun now becoming something of business reality? I
still think you have to sort of, when you're building a product, you have to take your eye off it just being a total business. I think with some things, especially Google and how Twitter and Facebook all started, they didn't specifically think about how they're going to make money. Now, Google especially is a huge money-making machine, but they didn't start out going, okay, we're going to make money by charging people by us pointing them in the right direction. That was something that came further down the line. So I think I very quickly had to become quite business-like when it came to raising investment, to hiring people and setting up a company. But when it comes to any sort of product development and whatnot, I think it's also very important just to keep that in the back of your mind and always think about what is the best thing that people will use, what will people use, what will people enjoy, and what, at the end of the day, what do people want? So that's one thing you've got to keep in your mind.
And when investors were approaching you, talk us about sort of, one of the dragons, what was their proposition to you, what were they willing to offer? And
it's quite a funny experience that, because I was actually approached by a tweet. So at that stage I kept my head down because I was getting thrown out of uni and whatnot, and I had a message from Doug Richard on Twitter just saying, hearing about what you're going through, get in touch. So anyway, that led to us going and having lunch somewhere and talking about sort of the problems I was facing and what I wanted to do. And so the next 6 months was spent sort of negotiating and sort of talking about what plans we wanted to do with this new service. And by that stage we had Doug and also another investor called Kevin Wall, who's a big US super angel, investing about £100,000 into the sort of just to get it off the ground into Flux. And that enabled us to sort of get an office, get a few employees, and just basically get it off the ground. And it's been really good. It's good having people like that on board. It's sort of providing good introductions. It's good sort of experience exactly. Experience exactly. So it's nice to have them as somebody you can pick up the phone and ask for advice from.
Fantastic. And tell me a little bit about the business model. I mean, I've sort of spent a little bit of time in the telecoms industry myself, and I know that it is difficult to get scale with a lot of these products. So tell us about how you plan to get that critical scale, and a little bit about the business model. Is it revenue, is it advertising based, or how do you plan doing that?
So exactly, I mean, we've started now to think about how we can make money, because it's got to the stage where there's only so much money you can actually get from investors until you have to try and actually make your own money. And we will very much concentrate on our strength, which is location. Mm-hmm. We have really good technology that allows people to use the app, find out what's going on around them, but it also allows us to give businesses the opportunity to market to those people. So, for example, if we have users up near King's Cross, we can ask, for example, Pizza Express to send out a broadcast that they have a deal going on between 3 and 5. Mm-hmm. Now, what started as purely posting about people a lot of people said it was on the dating side of things. We decided actually we didn't want to go down the dating route. That was a very competitive market that was very difficult to tap into with the likes of Match and other dating sites that are out there. We wanted to basically be the Twitter of location. Mm-hmm. We're not going to try and beat Twitter, we're not going to try and beat Facebook. We're just allowing people to discover stuff around them using a big map.
And how would you say that your service compares or is different to the likes of Foursquare that are also sort of going down that same path?
Exactly, so Foursquare is probably our nearest competitor when it comes to sort of location. Mm-hmm. Now, we looked at Foursquare and thought, okay, the whole model they have is a check-in and say, look, I'm here. Whereas we wanted to say, look, this is here, I'm sharing this is here. I don't necessarily want to tell all my friends that I'm here because I don't want to be bugged by them. Okay, these are friends that you're not really friends with on Facebook. I didn't quite understand, and I don't think a lot of people do, the whole point of a Facebook or a Foursquare check-in, unless you're somewhere that's totally special, like a stadium or at 10 Downing Street or whatever, and you basically want to brag where you are. I don't think it's something you want to do on a day-to-day basis, whereas we're trying to turn that on its head and say, look, we are in Pizza Express, okay, it's pretty boring, but I've just had an amazing pizza because it was cheap, it was a deal or not. And it gives you the opportunity to share that with your friends, your followers on Twitter, and also anyone who's basically in the area that discovers it.
And what impact or effect do you think that the likes of Groupon and a lot of those sort of discount providers have had on your product?
I think it's important. It gave us the idea of allowing people to spot for discounts, and because a lot of people nowadays are just they're not afraid of going out and finding the best deal and whatnot. So when somebody goes out, they're always drawn to the fact that there's a special offer on, rather than paying full price for a meal. If there's an option of getting one buy one get one free, they'll always take that if they have the opportunity to do. So we're just we're not going to be doing the big, we're not allowing people to spot the big Groupon style deals where you get 50% off on this one item that's a product. We're doing the everyday deals that are on, but they're just not listed anywhere, and you don't often discover them until you're actually outside the door.
Fantastic. So tell us, what does the future hold then for Flux? Where are you taking it?
So Flux is basically, we're bringing out new apps. We just launched an app called Map Chat, which is a location-based app which basically allows you to chat to anyone in the world for free, anywhere. And we've got a new product coming out in about 3 or 4 weeks' time called Spotted. And the details of this are still quite sort of undercover, but it's basically a location-based sharing device, as I sort of described earlier. And we're really excited about that one because it, as I said, it turns this whole location aspect on its head. It's not doing a check-in service. It's almost trying to do what Instagram have done with photos on Facebook. They're allowing people to take really good photos and share them on Twitter and Facebook. We aim to do the same with location and take real-life things that are cool and allow people to share them.
And is there a permission element to what you're doing before advertisers presumably can push something?
Yeah, obviously we're very conscious of the fact that people don't want to be bombarded with adverts and spam. So when we do introduce that, we'll do it in such a way that it's sort of done nicely and is actually of a benefit to the user rather than actually a pain in the arse that they're getting.
So Rich, tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell me about your team, more importantly. Tell me about the people that you're surrounding yourself with and share the same vision and they're going to take all these products to market with you.
So we have quite a small team in London, about 6 of us, and obviously with sort of just being a very young company, we have to rely on sort of, I think the average age of our team is about 23, right. So it's a very fun environment. We've got lots of, we do lots of team building stuff, sort of going out to the cinema and doing like bowling challenges and whatnot. So it's a very fun environment. In the time off I had in between university and working and setting up Flux, I worked in a very corporate environment at a bank, and it was completely different. It was sort of straight down the line, suits, whatnot. We're a little bit more relaxed, and I like one of the big things that I enjoy doing is sort of building the company culture and showing it off to basically future employees that want to come work for us and say, look, I'm fed up with this sort of strict 9 to 5, 1 hour lunch break, wearing a suit all day. This is more of you can be a bit more creative, you can get your hands dirty and make a real impact in such a small company.
And do they have the opportunity to influence some of the products?
Oh, massively so, yeah. So, I mean, day by day, we've got a team of 2 developers that are doing most of the hardcore development, but we're all in this one office with open plan that the fact is anyone can hear what's going on and offer input. One of our communications guy the other day basically made a product influence. So he basically spotted another app that did something we wanted to do and shouted across the development guys and goes, have you seen this? And in the end that got put in the app. So it's basically, it's a very good working environment, and it's one of the fun things about working with Flux.
Fantastic. Rich, I still can't believe your age, to be honest with you. I mean, to be 22.
Do I look older than I am?
And to be at the helm of something so exciting is fantastic. Tell us a little bit about your personal time. What do you do with yourself?
Well, startups, as most people know, probably take up a lot of time anyway. So if we actually get the chance to get off early, it's quite nice to. I'm quite into sort of keeping fit and whatnot. So it's a really good way to wind down. It's just going to the gym or doing like marathons or whatnot, just to keep the mind out of what else is going on. But I think there's when you think about what you're doing with a startup, you are really busy, and it's something that takes up most of your day. But it's because it's something you enjoy and something you're really passionate about. It doesn't really matter, and you don't really think of it as a job. So my biggest hobby is doing a startup. I call it a hobby because it doesn't feel like a job to me. And
what advice would you give someone who's entering your space? Because obviously it's a very competitive market. Everybody's vying for the internet attention. What would you say to somebody who's in your similar situation, trying to find investment or trying to get their product off the ground?
I think you've got to find the right mentors, find the right people who've done it before, get them either involved or just basically go and have a chat with them, because you can often pick up. One thing I found is I try and schedule in something each week with somebody that I haven't met before or somebody that I know that would be really useful to me, because you can learn so much from like an hour's coffee with somebody that has just done it all before or has done something that you could even work with in the future. And then it's basically a matter of building a product that people want to use and that people come back and keep using. So you've got to just break it down into specific human needs that people want and need to do, and build something that's very intuitive and doesn't need to be explained very much. And the fact is the internet's a great platform to distribute stuff on. And with the advent of mobile phones and Apple and Google have basically built platforms that allow you to have all these mobile applications that people can download in about 10 seconds. It means that firstly you've got to be very competitive in getting your app in the right place in the app stores, but also when they've got all these apps, you've got to basically make it attractive enough so they keep using them on a daily basis.
And just on that, how do I go about downloading it?
So you can search for Map Chat on the iPhone App Store, and when Spotted is out, we'll be telling people about it. But at the moment, that will probably be out in sort of late September. So by the time people might be watching this, it might be out. So if it is, go on the App Store and look for Spotted.
I will do. Thank you so much for your time, Rich. Pleasure meeting you.
You too.